I'll count us down to like press record, so it's kind of similar, and then Sierra will count us to clap, like I told you about, so that we're like we can be on the same wavelength.
It's
so
our most official thing that we do. So
I love it.
Be excited.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, record.
Perfect.
It's not recording. Hold on.
First time in the car issues.
What?
I said first time in the car issues.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with the car. It was just Audacity, having the audacity to not record. Okay. Do you want to stop and start again, or do you don't?
I'll just line the claps up. It's fine.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Oh, that was
good.
Pretty good.
All right. Okay, Jess, you gonna start it out?
Yeah, I'll start it out. And
okay.
Your business name is Vostra Moda. Correct?
Yes, that's right. Vostra Moda. Yep.
And it's Brianna.
Yes, it's either Brianna. It doesn't matter. I have family that says it in different ways, so I'm just like, you can call me Bri. It makes it easier for everyone. Like, you don't have to worry about how you say it. Totally fine.
How do you say it?
Yeah. Or what do you prefer to be called in general?
I just go by Bri. Like, that's what my friends call me, so you can call me Bri.
We'll do Bri. And White, right? Bri
yes.
White.
Yep.
Welcome back to another episode of the In Raw Life podcast. We have been talking all about amazing women this month. We've had women from our community. We've talked about being strong, independent women. And to close the month out, I'm super excited to have Bri White from Vostra Moda. She is a personal stylist. She helps women be confident in what they wear and in their bodies and empowers them. But before we get fully into Bri, we want to remind you to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. That lets the podcast platforms know that this podcast is somewhere that you need to be, and sharing it with the entire world and the universe so that everyone can come together and we can empower each other more together.
And if you want to follow along with all the fun antics that we have going on, you can check us out on Instagram at inrawlife.co. That link is in the show notes, as well as more information on how to find Bri. So check out those show notes before you leave so you can find all the information from today's podcast.
So Brianna, or Bri, Sierra hasn't really talked to you all that much yet, and we just talked briefly, and we've been following each other a little bit on Facebook and on social media. Can you tell us and the audience a little bit more about yourself, what it is that you do as a personal stylist, and how you got there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. First of all, thank you both for having me on here. I've loved watching you guys and listening to your podcast as well. So big shout out. I'm glad that I get to be on here. So gosh, where to start? So a little bit about me. I got started as a personal stylist, I like to say, from the time I was about 4. And the reason why I say that is there is visual documentation, pictures of me dressed up in all sorts of crazy outfits from the time I was a child. You know, I had the legendary dress up box that I'm sure everyone has had at one point in their life. And there are plenty of photographic evidence of me dressed using skirts as capes and wearing like necklaces as bracelets and turning things that shouldn't be belts into belts and what have you. So just always wanting to be creative in how I express myself and basically having fun. I think my favorite is we were invited to a dress up party when I was a kid, and there was going to be a little tea party for all of us. We must have been 5. And my mom let me dress myself. So of course the outfit that I just described to you is essentially what I decided to wear. And then we got there and it was all of these adorable little girls in actual like tea party dresses. And it was the 90s. So, you know, you got like the big collars and like these hats that match their outfits. And here I am in like these like gel shoes and gel bracelets. And I've got like scarves layered as skirts and tied in all crazy ways. And I had a blast. It didn't matter though, because I loved it. And it was just having fun. And I'm sure all the other moms were like, that's not quite what we were thinking when we said this. But at least my mom was willing to be like, you said dress up. I let her dress up however she wanted. You know, I took full reins. So since I was really young, I've always loved being able to express myself that way. And through college, I went to school for graphic design, but I was in an art school with a lot of photography majors, made a lot of friends with people who needed people to just sit for them for their homework, essentially. So I got started modeling when I was in college. And it was a way that I stepped into this world of creativity and collaboration with others, and a way that I found being able to express myself through clothing again. And what I loved about that was the experience of meeting all of these great minds and pulling together all of your ideas. So it was not just one person being like, all right, show up in this specific outfit. It was, well, what do you have? What can we bring together so that we're combining our interests and we're making this a collaboration, like a true collaboration, instead of just one person telling another, here's what I need from you. So through this journey of working in this way, I was working with friends and family, and by working I mean, more like a hobby, basically. Whenever someone would give me the opportunity that I could talk to them about putting outfits together for them or helping them pick things out for events that were coming up and just having fun and going through their clothes and stuff. And then if we got to go shopping, it was a bonus that I could kind of help them pull the look together before the event even happened. And fast forward a full decade to I'm working in a 9 to 5. I've been working there for 8 years, and my modeling has been kind of inconsistent. Again, it was more for fun and just being creative and connecting with people. But I loved this element of, again, getting to work with people on creative level, express myself, and help other people express themselves through their mediums, as well as meeting other models and sharing what we had. And sometimes that would look like me sharing my items with them and being like, oh, you could combine this with what you have and it would make this great look. So COVID hits and everyone's working from home. I worked at a program for adults with autism that was also joined to a school. So kind of along the school system, everything stopped just in general. And it was a very eye-opening experience of just, I think everyone had that moment of pause in their life where they were sitting and looking at what was going on, and you're being pushed into a totally new zone that you've never been in before, and all sorts of comfort zones are being broken around the world. And it really allowed me the opportunity to sit back and look at what was going on in my own life and what I was interested in and what I really wanted to be contributing and how I could give back in some way. And while I really loved everybody that I worked with in my 9 to 5, and I so appreciated working in the environment that I didn't feel like I was able to bring my creativity to it every day, which is what I really longed to do. And when I would come home from work, the way that I would unwind is I would go through my own closet and I would just take everything out, and then I would put things back together in outfits because it felt like a way for me to organize my life a little bit. It's like when you feel like you're out of control, just being able to do something tangible can be so helpful to just refocusing. So I would plan out, well, how do I want to look this week? How do I want to represent what am I feeling this week? And I would just look through my clothes and I would feel the materials and I would say, I want to feel really soft, or maybe I'm feeling really out of control, so I need comfort this week. So I'd find my softest items and I go, I want to wear these. Or I'm feeling really shy this week, but I know that I need to put myself out there and I have these meetings I have to present at. So what can I do to dress myself up and feel a little bit bolder than I actually feel on the inside? And I'd, go for something that had a little sparkle to it, or something that just pushed me a little bit out of my comfort zone, but made me feel confident. So I would do this for fun, like every night. I was just taking things out and putting them together. And I was like, I'm sure that I can't be the only one that feels this way and is like, I want to be able to change my mood through this very tangible means of how I'm representing myself and how I display what I wear and express myself through my clothing. So I started talking to some friends and I had some ideas. I talked to my wife about them and I was like, I miss being creative daily, and I really want to make an impact on a more personal level, because working in the business I did, while it was wonderful and I know that it made an impact, I was kind of a behind the scenes person. I did a lot of administrative tasks. And so I didn't feel like I had quite the connection that I really wanted to have, especially with women. I have such a heart for just helping women find themselves and find their confidence, because especially growing up, it was so important. And that was a big part of my journey, was finding myself and my confidence. So through talking through all of these different ideas of, well, how can I bring things that I love into a way that I can help other people? It just kind of hit me like a lightning bolt one day of like, you literally go through your clothes every day. You know that there are women out there who are looking in their closet going, there's got to be something in this that I can do and some way that I can express myself and find myself. But where do I start? And I mean, I had felt that way for years. And then, especially over the last couple of years, I was able to really organize and find a way that worked for me to be most efficient with my clothing. And, I would have that initial thought, but then I'd be able to go, okay, so I can do this, this, and this. And then felt like I have concluded what I need to do. I can move on to the next thing now, instead of spending those hours where you're just like, I have nothing to wear. I have a closet full of clothes. What am I doing? I'm going to sit here on the floor and cry because I just can't move past this. I mean, I'm sure everyone has been there, right? Not just me.
Yeah.
No, you're totally alone. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Not at all. No one's ever done that. So, I talked through it. I ended up finding a business coach who was someone I'd known from college, and we reconnected, and she had been helping women build their businesses from the ground up. So through connecting with her, telling her my idea, she was like, this is a great idea. And especially because in general, not just helping people to refocus what they have in their closet and relearn what style means to them and how to express themselves, because I have such an empathy for that feeling of, what do I do? I want more from this, and I don't even know where to start. And sometimes it's the hardest part, right? Is just starting, whatever it is, any task. It's like, you can plan out all you want. I mean, I'm a big to-do list person, but I'll make like 5 to-do lists with the same stuff on it before I actually start on the thing. So I think being able to give somebody, here's where you start and here's how, and I'm going to give you the push you need to get moving. And then once the car is moving, it's real easy to keep pushing and then to take off on your own. It's just the getting started. So that was how I started building my business, was during a pandemic, based off of an idea and what I thought was just a hobby, and how could I ever do this as a business, and then realizing how much it meant to me and how passionate I was, and how passionate other people in the world were about finding themselves and learning to express themselves. And then, a couple months down the line, I ended up quitting my 9 to 5, and now I'm a personal stylist 100% of the time. It's I never would have thought that I would get here from where I started,
That's amazing.
Oh man, I love that story so much. I have so many questions too. I'm like, how are we going to squeeze this in?
Well, I have a beginning question, because
Okay.
I know that one of your big things is intentional styling and an intentional wardrobe.
Yeah.
Which I love, because I've definitely moved in that direction over the past few years, but I don't feel like I have it down pat, or that I I just, it's not fully there for me. So can you explain what intentional wardrobe is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think most people have heard of a capsule wardrobe in comparison to the two. And I think what I have explained to people, that there's a difference between intentional and capsule wardrobes in my mind, and why I focus on an intentional wardrobe is, when people hear the word capsule wardrobe, they think of, you're going to tell me a specific number that I'm allowed to keep, and you're going to make me get rid of everything else. And the immediate reaction is hesitation and kind of a pulling back into yourself of, don't take away things that I'm already struggling understanding, and already afraid to let go and accept these things. So with intentional wardrobe creation, my goal is for people to focus in on what they really love and learn what your favorite things are and how to further expand your horizons based off of that, express yourself, but simplify your life. Because you can tell somebody, okay, you can make so many outfits out of just 10 items. But if you go into it as, I'm only giving you 10 items, immediately someone's going to be like, I don't have enough clothing. What am I supposed to do? I can't even finish the sentence. I'm so just shocked. So instead of doing that, expressing to them all of the opportunity and the creativity that they can have with it, and the fun they can have with it instead, where you say, here's your challenge, essentially, and let's see what we can do with this. And again, it's about expanding yourself and expanding your horizons versus feeling like there's a sense of lack, which is, I never want anyone to feel like they're lacking anything or like I'm taking something away from them, because clothing is so innately personal. And, you know, that's why it's personal styling, because it's not just styling, this is very personal to each person, and it can be so emotional, and we tie memories to everything, but especially clothing. As women, like, you're going to remember the outfit that you wore on your first date. Like, I think there is very rarely going to be someone who doesn't remember details like that about certain items of clothing. So of course, letting go of those things or coming to a conclusion that this doesn't fit anymore, or it's not actually supporting who I want to be, you're going to come against some opposition, and you don't ever want to just take those memories away from someone. You want to give them the opportunity to release them and decide, yes, this does add value to my life, or no, this is holding me back actually. And who would have thought that a piece of clothing could hold me back? But when I put this on instead, I notice that I stand up straighter and I feel empowered. And I feel like I want to go out there and I want to become this person who I visualize being, versus, well, that's the girl who used to sit on the couch and binge watch Netflix for 6 hours with a pint of ice cream. Not sure if I want to be her every day. Maybe on occasion when the mood is right, but you don't necessarily want to become that person or fall back into those routines. So it's just really incredible how, when you can refocus on creating intention and focusing on the value that you can create versus the fear of letting go and having too many things, you can't even see past it. You know, it creates clutter in your closet, and if there's clutter in one place, a lot of times it's in other places as well. Like your mind, a lot of times you can't expand what you're thinking or clear your thoughts if you can't see what's going on, because there's no room to breathe. So that's kind of where I come from with creating intentional wardrobes, and why I think that they are so much more beneficial than just doing a capsule wardrobe in the way of you're given X amount and that's it. Because it's different for everyone. That's why it's personal styling.
That totally speaks to me, because people have said that to me before, like, oh, have you thought of trying the capsule wardrobe? And I'm like, I wear dresses constantly. Like, I don't understand how to apply wearing a dress every day to a capsule. Like, it doesn't work in my mind. Maybe it could, but and I don't want to ever stop wearing dresses because I love wearing dresses. So
Right, exactly. And you would definitely, like, you want someone who's going to support you and say, oh my God, that's wonderful. I love that you wear dresses. Let's see how we can continue using that and find new fun ways of integrating things into it, you know, versus I'm only allowing you to wear X amount and that's it. You have to give up everything else. Like, nobody wants to hear that ever.
Yeah, I actually I did the KonMari method on my clothes back in, I think, 2017.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to get rid of like all these dresses that were basically hand-me-downs. I used to be of the mindset where if somebody said, do you want these dresses? I would say yes. Like, give them to me. I will figure out how to, like, wear, whether it was a size 6 or a size 10, like I would make it work for my body, because I just love dresses so much. But I got rid of like 5 garbage bags of clothing. So
yeah. And I mean, same thing. I think there are so many great methods that you can apply depending on what works best for you. And that was one that I've done as well in the past. I definitely, watched through that entire series in like a night and, read through the book and was like, this is a great way of thinking about it, that, just expanding your horizons again and thinking about things in a new way and approaching them in a different way and seeing what works best for you. And same here. Like, I also have always been you have something free you're going to give me? Great. How can I use this? Versus, does it fit? Does this actually support who I am? Is this even my style? And like you said, is this even my size? But, sometimes we go into things thinking, well, this is a free opportunity, so I have to take it, versus, but is this my opportunity, or is this better for somebody else who, if it fits them perfectly, then maybe I'm taking away that chance for them to feel as good as I feel when I get something that fits me. So I definitely went through and lovingly KonMari'd my items and decided things were actually adding to my life, and with things, someone else could love instead. So I love that.
So how do you like, oh man, I like I said, I have so many questions. Okay, so when I'll go back to something you said and then pull from that. You talked about like the texture of things and wearing different textures. I totally do that. Like on harder days, I just want something soft and cozy and comforting versus like, today I knew you're a personal stylist, so I wore my favorite dress, like just depends on the day. But when you're shopping and you need to get a collection of clothes to match like all of your moods, how do you, like, I feel like when I go shopping, I don't even know where to start. So what would you recommend for the shopping aspect of things?
Yeah, I would say definitely for someone who is a tangible person like myself. I'm both visual and I'm also a very sensory related person. So again, since I was a kid, I've always been really interested in the feel of things. And my mom jokes, we were on a plane ride coming back from overseas. My dad was in the Air Force, so we lived overseas for a number of years. And on one of our trips home back to the States, I was sitting next to a woman who had a silk abaya on, and I was probably 3 or 4. And my mom said, out of the corner of her eye, she just sees me with like staring at this woman's silk abaya and my hand just reaching over to the corner of it. And she's like, don't do it. And here I am, I'm like, I have to touch it. It just looks so soft. And I like tap the corner and I'm just sitting there holding the corner of this woman's abaya and just like feeling it and playing with it. And she looks down and my mom is mortified thinking this woman's going to yell like, I'm so sorry. And she just goes, oh, do you like that? It's very soft, isn't it? And I'm just like, it's so soft. I like it a lot. She's so glad, isn't it? Feels so nice. It's so soft. It's like your hair is so soft, right? It's so pretty. You're so pretty. You look like Barbie. And I'm just like, this woman thinks I look like Barbie. This is the best thing ever. And my mom's just like, thank you so much for, not getting upset that a woman just, my daughter clearly doesn't understand personal space yet. But, I have... kids, you get away with that as a kid, not so much.
Yeah, not anymore.
Right? Hi, really? Can I just touch the corner of your dress? It looks really soft. Not inappropriate at all. So for me, when I go shopping, and another thing I'll do too is shopping seasonally helps versus trying to look at everything big picture for the year, because I live in a 4-season state and all 4 seasons are very different weather. So it is much more beneficial for me to go shopping with an intention of I'm shopping for this season, so that I'm feeling, well, what does the quality of the air feel like? What does the temperature feel like? What am I going to actually wear right now that's going to be comfortable for me? And in addition to that, going in and actually feeling the fabrics is really important to me, because something may look very drapey and beautiful and soft, and then you touch it and the material might be scratchy. And immediately I'm going to know there's no way I'm going to wear that. I might think it looks wonderful and think this could look beautiful on, but if it doesn't feel right, there's no way it's going to last more than 5 minutes before I go, ditch it. It's fine. I don't want it anymore. Nope, I give up. So I would definitely say going in with the intention of what things do I need, figuring out kind of what holes are in your own closet of, you're going into summer and thinking, it's been really hot. I could really go for some shorts, but I want something a little more flowy. So, what material out there is going to be a little flowier, a little looser, but still short so that I'm not covering my legs if it's really hot outside. And keeping that in mind when you go into the store, touching the materials if you're someone who really needs that sensory ahead of time, so this is going to work for me or it isn't, or even buying things online when you do online shopping, just being aware of what their return policies are, so that you have the opportunity, if something doesn't work for you, that you go, it's okay, I can return this and it's fine. So that would be my recommendation when you're going in is, again, kind of the shopping with intention when you're going in, thinking of the season you're in and how it actually feels out right now and how you want to feel. If something looser is calling to you in that moment, then undoubtedly on days similar to the day that you're shopping, that's how you're going to want to dress and feel in the future. If it's a cold, rainy day, you're going to want something a little warmer probably, but also something that's not going to absorb all the water and then you feel like a drowned rat.
So that's such great advice.
when you start working with somebody, like what does that look like? Because I know you use the term level up their closet.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, you're like the stylist version of what we do. You eliminate the overwhelm.
Yes, I love
Uh-huh.
it.
It did
And
sound a lot like what we do. I was saying
yeah,
the same thing. Like, here's the
which I
starting
love.
point because people don't know
Yeah,
with certain parts of their lives. So, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, that's the hardest part is
How do you
definitely starting.
how do you like if someone has, whether they have a huge wardrobe or a small wardrobe, or they want to go buy intentionally, like how do you even start with them? Like what is
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that I do with any client, anyone that I meet, even if they're in a client yet and we're just chatting and seeing if working together feels right, we talk about what their goals are and also what their current lifestyle is and what they want their lifestyle to be. Because all of those things are going to play a factor into what's going to work best for you.
mhm.
Uh, if you work in a very active job like I used to, as much as I loved wearing dresses and skirts, at the time, it really didn't make sense for me to own a ton of dresses and skirts when 5 out of 7 days, I literally knew that at some point I might have to kneel down and pick something up off the floor, or I might need to clean something up. And it didn't make sense to be wearing dresses and skirts. So for my lifestyle, I could still dress elevated and still dress professionally, but in a way that I knew I could move around, I could kneel, I could bend over, I could pick things up, and it wasn't going to be, oh man, I got my dress dirty, or I have to be really careful because it's a flowy material and I don't want to get caught on anything. So I would say the first thing we talk about is what's your current lifestyle, and what's going to work for what you have. You know, if you're an avid hiker, you're going to need stuff that you can go hiking in. Your 6-inch heels are probably not going to helpful with that. But if you have events that you like to go to, then sure, of course, you can have fun with it and add things into your life that elevate it and level up who you want to be. So then we go into talking about what their goals are, whether it's like you said, you know, I have a really big closet and I'm overwhelmed by the amount of stuff I have. I don't know where to start. All right, so then our goal is let's limit the overwhelm. Let's figure out what works best for you and make your closet as efficient as possible so you don't have to think about it. You go in there and you know anything that I put together is going to go together and I can walk out and feel like a boss no matter what day it is. And then talking about the leveled up version of you, you know, what are your goals for the future? Who do you want to be? If you're working in a corporate job and you feel like you're stuck where you are and you feel like you deserve that raise, you've been working your butt off for it, but for some reason you're just not getting there. Well, what does this vice president version of you look like? How does she hold herself? What does she say to people? How does she act in the moment? And how does she treat herself? And a lot of times, even that can put you in the mindset of, I stand up taller. I talk with poise and elegance, and I feel chic and on top of my game. And then
Mhm.
if you look in your closet and you go, all right, what makes you feel that way from what you already have? There's probably one or two pieces for most people, but for the most part, they might be looking at it and going, oh, I don't feel that way when I wear this. And if you say, well, what would make you feel that way? If they're like, a new blazer that actually fits me, not one that was just a hand-me-down that I safety pinned on the inside where nobody could see, so it actually fits me. And then this would be a great opportunity for you to invest in this piece for yourself that is going to make you feel that way, that you're going to be able to go into any meeting at any point and go, I've got this. I am that person right now. And it gives you opportunity to step into that role again with those small tangible action steps. Like, I
Mhm.
think mindset is so important to all of this, and people don't think about that when it comes to style, but it is about mindset and how you see yourself and how you want others to see you. So it's a very easy way of, if these are the goals and this is the person I visualize becoming, this is the way I can start doing this now. I can start treating myself this way. I can start looking in the mirror and I see her when I look in the mirror now. And then you become her. And it's just this amazing, very easy ladder to climb that you've put all the steps in place for yourself and you just know I will get there because I can see it coming now.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the intro to how I start working with people and how we start on the journey together typically.
Yeah.
It's so funny. So as you're saying this, I'm in a parking lot and this woman is walking by with like baggy pants and a big t-shirt that says I can't adult today. It's just,
That is how she feels.
Yep.
it is. It's just hilarious. Like as you're talking about like owning your confidence and here she is. Like I feel like yes, it's like I think there's like a dual level. Like yes, there's days we want to feel comfortable, but even on the days you want to feel comfortable, still like one-upping that does like that laziness desire helps you one-up your day is the way I've always looked at it.
Yeah.
Like if you we all need days where we're being a schlub, but if we're being a schlub in something that like at least makes us feel pretty, maybe we like I like it just I feel like it changes your whole day around.
Absolutely.
When the pandemic first started, I told everyone like still get dressed because I worked from home and I know how easy it is to not get dressed, but like getting dressed makes you feel like a human. You're not just like you don't embody the smell of lazy. You embody the smell of like a real active person. So
yes.
Yeah, we did a boost episode about getting dressed.
Yeah.
Home and staying from home. I mean, I work from home. I work from home in general, and my first thing is I work out so I can shower and get ready and feel prepared for the day. Because if I'm in my pajamas, I'm just not going to be as efficient or productive.
Absolutely. And I recently did a live about the exact same thing. And, the idea of starting with making your bed and being an actionable step that, again, you're going to feel like you accomplished something. And the same way of doing that, getting dressed. And again, it doesn't have to be formal wear, but just getting started and associating, I'm putting clothes on, I'm handling my day is much better than I'm wearing my pajamas all day. So my mindset is in bed all day.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like pajama only days should be the days you're sick. Those are pajama only days.
Yeah.
Well, I remember in like high school and even college, a lot of kids just loved being scrubby, wearing pajama pants or whatever. And I was never one of those kids.
Yep.
I am more comfortable in jeans and a shirt
Yes.
than wearing sweatpants and whatever.
Absolutely. When I take the dog out every morning, I have a special pair of jeans. They're like slightly oversized, but they're still jeans. And I feel like I can take her for a walk and I don't care. Versus if I went out in my pajamas, I don't know. I don't feel like I could take action if anything happened. If she decided, to go run for a squirrel and I had to chase her, I'm in my pajamas. I don't want to run.
Yeah.
Over the weekend when we had some baby birds in our house and like one of them got out of the nest and I told my son like, watch the bird. I got to get out of my pajamas. And I couldn't even save the bird in my pajamas. When I came back, the bird was gone naturally. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a whole different level.
Well, that's like, I used to make fun of my mom when I was little because she would not leave the house without lipstick on.
Yeah.
Oh,
but then, I mean, I have my own things. Like I feel naked if I don't have earrings on.
Yeah.
If I leave the house and I catch myself without earrings, I'm like, oh, this is weird. So everybody has their thing.
Yeah. My thing used to be in high school, it was eyeliner, but it was only eyeliner. Like I would wear nothing else, but I would do like a raccoon circle around my eyes. That was a real good look. And I had almost no eyebrows because I plucked them to an inch of their life because 90s.
I'm with you.
So 15, 20 years later, now I'm like, the eyebrows are the thing that I have to have. I will go out without any foundation with like messy bedhead. But if I don't have eyebrows, I'm like, please don't look at me.
It's like I'm listening to myself. Yeah, we met up. We live 10 hours apart, so we met up in the middle recently, and it was a 5-hour drive. And the only thing I put on was my eyebrows for the drive because I knew I'd go to a coffee shop and like
That's where all my expression comes from. It's my eyebrow. Sometimes I get one eyebrow that gets really, really tense and I'll go like way up here and I'm like, I gotta calm down.
I know you do. You have great expression. I love it. Did you have?
No, go for it.
Oh no, I didn't really have my only my only other thing is like top, I don't know, 3 tips for people getting started on eliminating the overwhelm from their wardrobe.
Yeah.
I mean, touch on some, but like specific, I guess.
Yeah. So I would say some specific tips for starting to limit the overwhelm in your closet. An easy way of doing this that I like to reference because I feel like most people understand meal planning and meal prepping. So with meal planning and meal prepping, you're typically going to, think about what your week is going to look like, what you want to eat. You're going to make your grocery list. You're going to get all your stuff, and then you're going to meal prep. You're going to actually sit down. You're going to set aside however long you need, and you're going to make everything ahead of time. And then you're going to label it, and you're going to know, all right, I'm all set Monday through Friday. I know exactly what I'm eating. All I have to do is literally take it out of the fridge, put it in my lunchbox. I'm ready to go. And it makes life simple. And again, takes away from the overwhelm, takes away from making decisions in the moment. If you're like, I have to go pick the kids up because they went to a friend's house and I wasn't planning on this, but now, my husband's coming home early and dinner's not ready and we've got this thing tonight. If you have the meal plan done and prepped, you're ready to go. Same sort of thing can apply with your closet. So I like to say you can meal prep your closet too. And an easy way of doing this is, again, I recommend that people organize their closet in a seasonal way versus having all the seasons in there. Because if you see things in your closet that you're not wearing, whether it's because they don't fit or it's for really fancy events and you rarely ever wear them, or it's just the wrong season, it adds to the feeling of overwhelm, and it adds a little bit of guilt because you're seeing these items that you're never using or wearing and you're thinking, oh, I should really wear that. Oh, when am I going to wear that? I don't ever use it. I shouldn't have bought it, but I paid X amount for it. And you just go through this spiral that's not helping anybody. So first and foremost, remove the stuff that doesn't actually apply for right now. And even if you're in the process of losing weight and you have these goal jeans that you want to wear, that's great. But don't put them in with the rest of your jeans that currently fit. Keep them somewhere else as a reminder of this is what I want to fit into. But having them in your closet with everything else, it's adding to that feeling of these don't fit me and I don't get to wear them, and makes you feel guilty unnecessarily. So remove the stuff that doesn't make sense for the season that you're in, and then plan out for a week at a time. And, I give this as kind of a challenge, just people can see how it feels and what works best for them. But what I do for myself is, sure. Sorry. Totally fine.
I'm so excited to know what happens. What do I do? Where did she go? Dog must have run away.
Oh. Yes, I put my pup in the crate because I could just imagine her bringing me toy after toy during this.
Yeah. My dog sometimes goes off and I will I'll be like, Jess, just finish your thought and I'll run downstairs.
Yeah. She wrapped her long leash around the blueberry bush, and that's why she was barking. I thought she was barking at the workers. Then I saw the blueberry bush move. I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
Sorry.
Totally fine.
Keep going.
So what I would say is when you are thinking of your week, I do this for myself. I'll start on a Sunday, and the first thing that I do, step one, is look at my calendar for the week. If I have any events that are coming up that I need to be aware of, if I'm doing any sort of live event or a Zoom event and I think to myself, I really want to feel like I'm on top of my game, I really want to look this way, then I know, all right, so I'm going to want to wear a blazer, or I'm going to want to wear my favorite dress that makes me feel really confident on this day. Pull it out automatically and know this is what I'm wearing on that day. And then you can go through and you can add things to it later. But just for the initial, looking at your calendar and seeing what's coming up and what's important. If you're going out for brunch with somebody and you want to be comfortable but casual, all right, I'm going to wear my nice pair of dark wash jeans and a blouse, and I'll bring a sweater with me in case it's cool. So starting by looking at your calendar is a great place, and you're looking at your 5 to 7 days, however many days you want to do at one time. You can start off small. You can just do 3 days. But I say at least for the work week, because a lot of times that's what we're most worried about is showing up for work, whatever that looks like, whether you're working from home or whether you're working in an office. And then the second thing I would say is look at the weather for the week. And I know a lot of people check the weather every morning, and that's great. It's like a good confirmation of what the weather is going to be for that day when it comes to what you're wearing. But if you plan it out ahead of time, it makes life easier of what else you're going to wear during the week. Because if there's one day that's going to be 90 degrees and the rest of the week is going to be in the 70s, you better believe I am saving my shorts or a sundress for the day that it's 90 degrees. And I want to make sure that I didn't wear it another day when I really ended up needing it on this day. So looking at the temperature ahead of time and planning out your outfit so you know you're going to be cool enough or warm enough, depending on where you live. And again, what your lifestyle is. If you work in an office that has air conditioning that blasts and you're freezing all the time, you're definitely going to bring some layers with you to work. But if you know that you're going out after work and you're going to have drinks or dinner with somebody and it's going to be outside seating, then you're not going to need your layers for sure. You're going to be cool and comfortable that you can relax and not be thinking, man, I wish I hadn't worn this. And then the third tip I would give is pair everything together so that you know your outfits are one, whether that's you can hang them on the same hanger or hang one hanger on the other one, or just putting them right next to each other and separating everything else out. So much like when you meal prep and you go into the fridge, you go, all right, here's Monday's lunch, I'm taking it with me. Here's Tuesday's lunch, I'm taking it with me. You're doing the same thing with your clothes and not having to sort through and go, well, I know that I picked out that dress and that blazer, but I ended up putting them back and now I can't find them. So everything is just lined up in the order of however you want to grab it. And it's an easy, I got this, I'm moving on to the next thing. And I'm not sitting here in front of my closet wondering, what am I going to wear? There's just too much stuff and I don't know where to start. So that's how I recommend people will get started, and break it down into a week at a time. And then see what you wear, what you're drawn to. And it will help you figure out, what do I wear and what don't I wear? Maybe it's just seasonal that you don't wear certain things and you'll find you're drawn to those things in a later season. I know that for myself, I'm drawn to certain colors in certain seasons. I could wear these items any time of year realistically, just because of the material they are. But I find that I don't wear them because just events that are happening in those seasons or what I'm inspired by doesn't really draw it to me. Like, in the winter, I really love monochrome, but I also like red. But I really only wear it in the winter, sometimes in the summer. But I know that I wear it in the winter because, again, like Christmas colors and holiday cheer and just a little bit of vibrancy. And I also just love how a good monochrome black, white, or gray outfit with a red lip looks. It's very empowered and just striking to me. So if I add in a red skirt or something with that combo, I just feel like I'm gonna add some sparkles on top of this and I'm ready to go sit on top of the tree and be, the little ornament on top. I feel so great. So, same sort of thing. You can keep in mind as you're going through your stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean that you never wear this item. Just keeping track of it in some way and being aware. And again, being intentional about what you're wearing, what you're putting together, and realizing when it's time to let go of something, which is going to be the hardest part, is releasing things that aren't actually adding value to your life. And that's why I say working with a personal stylist can be helpful, because you have an accountability partner. You have someone who's going to ask you, well, what are you looking to do and what are your goals? And if you're doing things that aren't going to help you reach your goal, they're going to lovingly remind you of that. And they're going to say, hey, remember how you told me that this was your goal? Do you feel like this is actually helping you reach that? Or might it be holding you back from that? Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can help you reach those goals and if it's time to let go.
Okay, I have a question about, so with that like meal prep approach, what happens when you've got Wednesday's outfit and you get there and you're like, oh, this is not the outfit for today? What do you like? Then what?
Yeah, so I used to be a serial outfit changer. Like my wife will tell you that, at least it was probably 2 years ago. It was pre-COVID. I remember when I was feeling the most stressed in my life is when I noticed my indecision was at its worst. And I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to that, because you're looking for control. You're looking for some way of creating organization and stability in your life. And so because I always went back to clothing, that was my go-to. But it added more chaos for me to change my outfit in the moment, which is why I think planning ahead helps, and making sure that you love the items that you're choosing. Because obviously, if you don't love it, you're going to change your mind. Absolutely 100% of the time. And that's why I noticed a lot of my issue was when I was going through that, was that I didn't actually like the items that I chose to wear. So I would change my mind last minute. And then I would be in my third outfit and my wife would come in and go, are we ready to go? Because we had one car that we shared and drive to work together. And she was ready 10 minutes ago. And I'm sitting there once again on the floor looking at my closet crying. And she's like, I don't know what to do for you in this moment. I don't know if anything I can say is going to help, or if I just say, you look great. Is that it? Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Is that what you need? What do you mean?
And what it always came back to, she's always my logical go-to in any situation, was, why did you change your outfit? Like actually taking a moment to think about, well, why did I change my outfit? What was wrong with the first one? And whether it was, I didn't actually love it and I didn't love how I felt in it, and that's why I changed my mind, or just the indecision and the feeling of I need to take control of something in this moment. So I'm taking control of something that I didn't really need to. It was fine how it was, and I did like how I looked in it maybe, but I just was indecisive and feeling bad about myself and turning it into it's the clothes, not maybe there's another issue that's going on and I'm taking it out on my clothing instead because it's an easy, tangible way of expressing yourself and expressing your emotions. So a lot of times I'd end up going back to that first outfit and being like, it wasn't the outfit, it was me. And being able to talk through that with somebody can be helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I had a question. What was it? Oh, yes, I remember it. Do you know the Enneagram at all?
Okay, a little bit, but not a ton. I feel like I did this years ago, and I honestly can't remember what my number was.
Oh, okay. I had a guess of what your number was, but I'm not going to project it.
I will probably look it up after we get off this podcast, and I will message you guys because now I'm super curious to remember. Absolutely.
It's super. It helps so much, like in our personal lives and working relationship and any
in our
relationship.
marriages.
Yep.
Like
self relationship. It's amazing.
Yeah. I know that Jess, you're a 2, and Tiara, you're a 7, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I had heard on your podcast that you did this, and I was like, I want to do this, and then I need to like actually write it down in one of my to-do lists, not 4, and go through and actually do it.
Yeah, it's so helpful.
Yes.
Especially too if you can find out what your wife is and then like look at how they compare. I was just helping one of my friends do that. I'm like, okay, look at what you are and look at what she is, and now like that's what I did with my husband too. It's just like it's really cool to like have compassion over each other. Anyway, This is not about the Enneagram. This is a total side tangent, but I just really was like, oh, I bet you're A, and then I wanted to know if I was right, but you let us know.
Well,
I was gonna say on your like outfit planning, meal planning idea, I did that when I was working. I used to be the assistant director at a preschool, and leading up to COVID, I was doing that on Sunday nights too. And I mean, just that decision being eliminated, and like Sierra was asking what do you do if you comes to Wednesday you don't want to? I was like, well, this is what I chose, so we've got to follow through, and then that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Make the morning and day go so much easier.
Yeah. And again, you feel accomplished. Like this is already done. I don't have to think about it, and I'm moving on with my life. You've already made the decision. And that's why I say, making sure that you love your clothes and that you're intentional with what you're putting together and being realistic about it. Again, you're thinking of all the situations that are going into your week that could change your mind later to make sure you're making the best decision for yourself now and taking it off your plate. It's a huge difference, a huge relief.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question about clothes and everything and wardrobe, and it's for you.
Okay.
So you say that you plan it and you're very intentional about everything. So what can you tell us a little bit about today's outfit and what kind of went into that?
I can, yes. So I am wearing, it's a sleeveless, ribbed, very soft tank top, and I'm wearing my lightweight utility jacket. And I did go into picking this outfit for a very specific reason. So one of the reasons why I chose this was the shirt that I'm wearing underneath is, again, sleeveless because it's pretty warm in my apartment, and I turned the AC off so that we could actually hear each other. But I wanted something very soft because, again, it's a comfort thing for me. And I've never been on a podcast before, so this was very exciting, but I was a little bit nervous, which is why I was like, I want something that I know I'm going to be comfortable in. And it's still going to look good, and I'm still going to feel really good in it, but it's going to be comfort above all things for me. And then the jacket, again, I like to think of jackets as sometimes being our outside appearance and whatever we wear under is our inside. Because I am just a very sensitive, soft, gooey person on the inside. So I tend to wear the softest things closest to me. And then I'll try to wear something maybe a little bit stiffer or sharper on the outside to help me feel like I am sharp and I am powerful and I can put my shoulders back and be in charge of a situation. So I've got my utility jacket, which again has a little bit of that with this collar that, kind of a sharp collar and angles on it. But again, it's still a very soft material and very lightweight because comfort above all things today. And I can still look good while being comfortable and casual, but dressed up. And I also decided to go with colors because while I love a good black and white combo, sometimes they're just too contrasted and a little too stark. And I have been told a number of times that my relaxed face is definitely a little bit RBF. So because of that, I try to remember to soften my appearance and do things and wear things that make me feel softer and more approachable, because I want people to approach me. I want to approach other people. I want to have that connection and build that relationship with people. And it's amazing how even with your clothing, you can build that foundation for yourself of what are things that I want to work on in myself. I want people to feel comfortable talking to me, and I want to feel more comfortable talking to other people. What can I do with my clothing to express that I welcome you to come and talk to me? And, essentially like I am available for a hug type of feeling when you talk to me, like what I'm wearing, because it's soft enough that you could have that interaction and be like warm and comforted. So that was what decisions went into my clothing. And then for my jewelry, I went with, this is my favorite nerdy necklace. I am a geek at heart. So it is all sorts of dice from a game called D&D. And
I love it.
A number of different sided dice. So this is an outline of all the different dice that you can choose. And it was from Etsy, and I love it so much. Yeah. So, yeah.
I love that. Well, here's a huge virtual hug, because we're all.
I love it. I accept your virtual hug and I give it right back to you. Thank you.
I have a question about what, like, do you have stores that you recommend? Because I feel like, my go-to used to be Forever 21, and for one, it's not around anymore, and for two,
it's not
21 anymore. No, they went out of business.
Oh wow.
I haven't been to a mall in a year, so I really don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I've heard.
There's a very few still in store, but they have definitely closed a bunch of branches of that store in particular. Something that I love to recommend to people and talk about all the time, and in no way am I getting sponsored to this, by the way, I just have to put that out there. My favorite online store is an online consignment store called ThredUp. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I love it is I've always loved consignment stores and thrift stores, and I think you can find such unique pieces there. And the reason why I love consignment stores over thrift stores sometimes is the quality tends to be a little bit better, a little more taken care of and loved in a way that you can tell, okay, either this person didn't wear it very often or they took really good care of it before they decided to consign it. So I like going there because I also think it's important to find quality pieces for yourself, not quantity. So finding something that is going to be a really good structure and hold up well for longer is going to be more beneficial for you in the long run. So with ThredUp, you can find so many brands because, like a consignment store, you've got the sustainable option of these lovingly consigned pieces. But the hard thing about going to a consignment or thrift store is searching for something, because again, it usually is like one of a kind that you're going to find there. And sometimes sorting through how they will organize their stores can be a challenge. With ThredUp, you can search by brand, you can search by color, you can do price ranges. So I love stores like Express and White House Black Market because I think they're a little bit edgy, but they still have that fun element, and they're young without being too young. You can find good pieces in there that work when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s. It all varies depending on what you're drawn to. So you can go in there, you can create a favorites for yourself. You can save searches if you know that there's, I'm looking for a blazer from this brand. I can save that as one of my searches and then go in every once in a while and see if someone has consigned an item from that brand and that specific item I'm looking for. So that is one of the brands that I recommend. Is it's a sustainable option. You can create your own account. You can save favorites. And it's really easy and nicely organized.
Yeah, I saw you post about them yesterday.
I did.
I've vaguely checked them out before, but that's something on my list to
absolutely. Yeah.
I have one more very controversial question for you.
Okay.
What are we not allowed to wear skinny jeans anymore? What is going on?
I laughed so hard when I heard that because I'm of the opinion that you can wear whatever you want. If you have the confidence and you have the passion for it, you will find a way to wear that item regardless of what it is. And the thing is too, I hate when people say you can't do something or you should avoid something because you're focusing on the negative. And honestly, what we should be doing is focusing on the positive. Instead of what should I avoid, you should say, what do I want to accentuate? What do I want the focus to be instead? What I love or what I like about myself instead of what I hate about myself. Avoid this at all costs. So I love skinny jeans. So
I know, I do too.
as a very petite and short person, people don't think I'm as short as I am. I apparently photograph and I don't know, I guess I talk tall.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'4".
I'm 5 foot, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like, I don't know. People are always like, oh, I thought you'd be much taller. Like, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I guess okay, thanks. So I like skinny jeans because, especially high-waisted skinny jeans, I have shorter legs in comparison to my upper body. I have a very long torso. So crop tops always look a little silly on me because they look way shorter than they're supposed to be. So I like high-waisted skinny jeans because they make me feel taller and they elongate my body because, again, I know that I am accenting that part of myself and that I want to elongate my legs. So I am using what I know to be able to do that and feel better about myself and feel more confident when I'm wearing my jeans rather than wearing, a boot cut that may not accent what I'm looking to accent right now. And low rise, I mean, I definitely wore low rise through high school, college, but I'm tired of pulling my pants up as a 30-year-old. I bend over way too much. I'm running around with my dog. I don't have time to worry about pulling my pants up anymore.
Yeah. And it was, I've got a big booty and it was rough when I was a teenager, but now I'm a mom. I can't be doing that.
Nobody has time for that. Yeah. So skinny jeans, they are in style if you decide you want them to be in style.
All right. I'm keeping them in.
Yep. Do it.
All right. Well, I don't know if Jess told you. Did you tell her about the raw?
I went over it.
Okay. So at the end of all of our interviews, we like to ask guests what the rawest moment that they're willing to share is. And this is just to show that, like, yes, you've definitely got your fashion in check and you've got your own business that's awesome and successful. But we all are human and things happen. And we like to normalize the tough so people don't feel isolated and alone. So do you have a moment that happened in your life that is raw that you are willing to share with us?
Absolutely. So I go briefly into this in some of my live topics and stuff, and I mention it, but I had some really tough teenage years from about the time I was 13 to, I want to say 18, was really hard for me. I was very isolated. I felt very lonely. I was homeschooled for a number of years. And then when I did go back to school just for high school, I went to a very small private religious school. There was not even 30 kids in the high school total. And they had been together since it was like a K through 12 type of school. So they had known each other their entire lives. And I've also moved a lot. Like I said, my dad was in the Air Force. So we moved at least, I've lost count. It was something over 18 times in my life. So moving from place to place, being homeschooled, I never really felt like I connected with people or like I fit in with them. And then going to a school where clearly these people had built these relationships since the time they were children, I just felt very much on the outside looking in. And all I wanted was to feel like I was included with people and like I was part of some sort of community. And especially when you're going through, teenage years in general, that's rough without any additional anything. Like hormones are a crazy, crazy thing. But especially for me, going through this feeling of I could be in a room of people and just feel completely isolated and alone, what I found was I was starting to use my clothing to hide behind. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I think I have grown to love clothing again and learning how to use it to express myself, because I used it to keep people away for the longest time. And I mentioned this recently, but one outfit that I wore all the time, because I had a school uniform that I had to wear too, so you really couldn't go too crazy. But I had this really, really big black zip-up hoodie, and I covered the entire thing in safety pins. Like the arms were literally just covered from shoulder to cuff in safety pins. And of course I, try to tell people, oh, well, I'm punk, I'm a little bit punk and it's just a style. But what I knew was I was using it as a barrier. I used it as a literal barrier to keep people away from me. And I was just so afraid because as much as I wanted to interact with people and be included, I was so terrified of what people were actually going to think of me because I always assumed I was the weird kid because that was what I was told anytime I interacted with people as a kid. I didn't have a lot of socialization when I was younger, and I was interested in things that other people weren't. I mean, I was the nerdy kid who would sit there and watch Lord of the Rings as many times as possible on repeat, and everyone else was out playing soccer. And I cannot kick a ball for the life of me. I have zero to no coordination when it comes to those types of things. I've accepted it as an adult, and that's okay. But like I took archery and I took fencing, and I wanted to be a female knight, and I was like, a 10-year-old in the 90s, and it's like, a knight. What era did you fall out of that this is what you want to be? So I just didn't feel like I really connected to people. And because of that, I was hiding behind my clothes. And it was hard to put this barrier up and realize that I wasn't allowing anyone in just as much as I just kept them at arm's length. Literally and physically, I was keeping people at arm's length because people are afraid to talk to you when you put that out into the world. And learning how to love, it took years, and it's still an ongoing process, of course. I think everyone throughout their life is going to work through what they love about themselves and what they argue with themselves about on a daily basis and things that they want to better about themselves. But it really, I think it cost me a lot to do that to myself and put myself in a mindset of you're not worth having friends. And I mean, that was a story. I went back and I recently got rid of all of my journals from that time because they did not do me any good. And while I think in the moment, obviously getting things out is important, I wouldn't speak to my worst enemy the way that I spoke to myself in those journals. And it's just eye-opening to look back and honestly see the growth and progression you've made as a person when you look back and see how you treated yourself at one point. And while the fear of how others are going to treat you can make a huge impact in what you do or what you say or how you act, we are always our own worst critic, 100% of the time. And I was awful to myself. And while I don't want to say that I regret things because they helped shape who I am now, and I've definitely become someone who has learned that my sensitivities and my empathy are actually a good thing. They allow me to reach out to other people and to acknowledge when someone else is going through something and let them know that there is an accepting person waiting for them when they're ready, and that you are loved and you are worth loving yourself. Not just having other people love you, but like other people can't even love you if you don't learn to love yourself first. So learning how to let go of that literal shell I created for myself was so important to learning to love myself and allowing others to come in and love me. Because if you had asked me 20 years ago if I could ever imagine myself talking to people who I never met and opening up like this and sharing, this part of myself that I was like, I will never tell anybody about this, even though it was clearly written all over my face, anyone who ever met me, I would not have believed you. I would not have believed that I could be confident enough to tell other people, you are worth wearing what you want to wear, and I'm happy to help guide you. But at the end of the day, you get to make those decisions because you need to value your own opinion above all else. And you need to believe that you have it in you to do these things and to create that confidence and empowerment. It comes from within yourself. And we have to learn to value ourselves. So, I mean, I think that was one of the rawest moments for me, was going through those really tough years and being so afraid of what everyone else thought. But really, it was my own thoughts that kept me back and held me back from being who I could be. And sometimes it just takes time. And learning to love yourself is so important to allowing yourself to flourish. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. Oh, that's such a beautiful story. And to be able to like look back and see that in yourself and see like the lies versus the truth. Oh,
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh, I need to get her to shush before we finish.
So, do you, I wanted to ask this. Does your wife let you pick things out for her, or
Oh my
is
gosh.
that like how does
So
that relationship work?
our joke is, before personal styling was even an idea in my mind, I've been her stylist. Since we've been together for going on 14 years now. And since like the first year we started dating, I would be like, oh, this would look great on you. And she'd be like, really? Okay. And then, you know, once we had moved in together, anytime she needed clothing, she'd be like, she hates shopping. She hates having to figure out outfits or anything. So she's always been like, can you just do this for me? Because I don't want to. And I'd be like, yeah, I'd love to. So we joke that I have always been her personal stylist, and every single piece of clothing that she has in her wardrobe right now is because I picked it out for her and was like, hey, I think you should try this, and if it fits, you should keep it. And she'd be like, okay, great, sounds good. I don't want it. I just want it to go.
My husband's the same way. He's like, why don't you just go shopping for yourself? I'm like, I do not like shopping at all. Yep. And so he picks things out for me, and then he gets mad because he picks out shoes for me that are so cute, but I have like really sensitive feet, and so they never work. And he's like, how many shoes? Like, go buy yourself some shoes.
Hey man, shopping is a challenge sometimes.
It's so hard.
We've all been
I've got
there.
kids. Like, I can't go shopping on just like whatever. I ain't got time for that. But I need a lot of help with it.
My worst thing with shopping is when I have the time and I'm there, I'm not in the mood. And when I'm in the mood, I don't have the time, or it's not budgeted at that moment or whatever. And I'm like, these two need to meet.
Yeah, exactly. I think finding the good barrier for both of those is so important. And especially like the hard thing when it comes to shopping is a lot of us have had such negative experiences with shopping that you build up in your head before you even get there what it's going to be like. I'm not going to find this. It's not going to be on sale. I'm going to find something I love, but it's not going to be in my budget, or it's not going to fit right, or they're not going to have it. And then you just downward spiral all the way. Instead of going into it of the idea of, you know, if you were shopping with a friend, for example, and you guys went in there and you were like, you know, we're looking for a dress for this event that we're both going to, but it's not this intense, I have to get this right now, it has to be this specific one, and you can enjoy the experience and being together, it just becomes so much more fun. So being able to reframe and rethink your trip to, this is time for me, and I'm going to treat this like I was taking my friend out, and I want them to enjoy their experience and just have fun with me. And while you're looking with intention, of course, it doesn't have to be this crazy, hyper-focused, ride or die, like I can't leave until I find this thing. Like, no, take breaks and enjoy yourself, and think, if this doesn't work for me here, then, you know, if I find it online, that's okay too. And just learning to enjoy the experience and turn it into something that's fun instead is so important.
I like that. That really helps me.
Okay. Now that hopefully the dog is quiet for like, 10 minutes. So we do a fun lightning round to end the conversation.
All right, I'm ready.
So I've got 5 questions for you.
Okay.
What is your favorite shade of lipstick?
Ooh. So I have always had a hard time finding a red lipstick that actually looks red, because my natural lip color, it turns them orange for some reason, or pink. Just, there's a good combination of some sort of science with that, I'm sure. Science has not always been my forte. But I found this red shade by NYX that I absolutely love. It's a cream lipstick, and it actually looks red on me. So Of course, the name is escaping me right now of exactly what it's called, but NYX red cream lipstick all the way.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen your pictures with the red lip, and it looks.
And
awesome.
it actually looks red.
Okay, what is your number one you cannot live without wardrobe piece?
High-waisted jeans.
There we go.
Absolutely. They go with anything.
Okay, if you could live in any time period, what would it be?
Ooh, that's tough, especially because I just admitted to you guys that I dreamed of being a lady.
I'd take it. It's a good question for you. So,
I think I'm very torn because while I love the idea of being a lady knight, the reality of that happening probably would have been very slim. So I would actually want to go with the 90s. I think like being this age in the 90s and being able to appreciate you know, the culture and appreciate the fashion of that time when you're in your 30s. And like, I don't know, I look back with such fondness on it. And obviously watching all the movies and stuff from that time and so nostalgic. So I think it would be fun to go back to the 90s for a little bit, even though it wasn't that long ago.
That's the first time I've ever heard someone say that.
Really?
I've never thought about it before, but it's so true.
It's known as a good era for a reason.
It really is. Like, what my husband had, this is totally cut this from the podcast, but I just have to tell you, my husband never posts on Facebook, and I had a memory with him that he posted the other day, and it said, he was quoting me, and I said, I just love 90s movies. They like really pull on your heartstrings.
Yes.
And his response was, this is Die Hard 2. Are you kidding? And I was like, no, I'm not.
I love it.
That's so great. What year were you born?
1990.
1990. Okay, we have two more, and these we ask everybody, but they're very important questions.
Okay.
The first one is, we are super huge small business supporters, so we love hearing about new ones. So what is your favorite small business?
Ooh, I'm going to go kind of local. It's a couple towns over, but there is a shop called Apotheca Flowers, and I love them because they're a flower shop, but not just a flower shop. They're also this cafe in the front, which they have amazing coffee. And then the back of the store is all local artisans. So like the earrings that I'm wearing right now were a local artist who made a bunch of jewelry. They've got candles. They've got so many handmade items. It's just amazing to go in there and see everything that has been brought together in this one place. And they also do just bouquets that you can bring home. They do flowers for weddings. So I love going there because you feel like you're being transported into this other world. It's amazing and gorgeous.
Do they have any online presence? Do you know?
They do. Yes, they're on Instagram. I will definitely share their handle with you guys because they're wonderful.
Where do you live?
I'm in southern New Hampshire. Literally, I could throw a rock and it would hit Massachusetts.
Okay.
And what town is the shop in, just in case anyone?
It's in Goffstown, New Hampshire.
And then the last question is, what is your favorite thing about you?
It's a good question. I think, like I mentioned earlier, my favorite thing about me, something that I have learned to love about myself, especially over the last few years, is my sensitivity and ability to empathize. Because for so long I thought, it was a weakness. You're told, grow some skin, stop being so sensitive. My reaction and emotion reaction to anything is crying. I could be angry and I'll be crying instead of yelling at somebody because I'm also very non-confrontational. Mm-hmm. But through the experience of learning how I can use that as an advantage, if you will, as a way to connect with people, it's become so integral to part of my personality because I just want the best for everybody I meet. I just want everyone to feel good about themselves and feel like they can take on the world and that they can actually reach their goals, because you can. I think if you set your mind to it, you can do literally anything. And the ability to understand where people are coming from and to truly want that for someone, to be just as excited for them, or to meet them where they are if they are having a hard time getting there and go, I understand you and I support you and I want what's best for you. But also having that boundary of, I'm not going to let it overwhelm me, but I will hold the line for you and I will meet you where you are and I will help lift you up. So I would say my ability to support others and empathize with them wherever they're at.
That was beautiful. I love it.
Thanks.
I'm so glad that you're part of our community and our circle.
Oh, I'm so glad too.
Are you in our Facebook group?
I just joined this morning.
Okay.
Very
Okay,
excited.
good. I was like, we need you there.
I know.
Well, okay, so we have one more question that's not going to be on the show. It's just we start every episode. What?
No,
we have something else. Where can our audience find you? Like, where's the best?
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram. My handle is at Vostra_Moda. I have a website, VostraModa.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, under those same handles. I have a link tree in my bios so it can direct you to any and all of those. And I have a bi-monthly newsletter that comes out that's called Inside the Closet. And we dive into style tips, events that are coming up, any challenges that I share, and just fun like inside about me, because I always love learning about other people. So I figure, why not share a little bit about myself and things that I like and things that I'm doing in my own life as well.
Sorry, Sierra.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, I want to close out the episode, but not be done and ask the question at the end, is all I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
So now we'll just pretend like this is the end, and then we'll ask one more question.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Bree, thank you so much for joining us, because I know that I personally needed this, but I also really love how much you like inspire women to be strong and confident, which is what this month has been all about, with like through their clothing. So, thank you for taking time to share all your insights with us.
Absolutely.
Really
thank you both for having me. This has been wonderful, and I've loved talking with you.
Yes, us too.
Do you mind if we have like a little close that we say? Do you mind if we just do it now?
Go for it.
Is that okay with you, Jess? And thank all of you for joining us as well, and for everyone that continues to come back. We love having you here. As I mentioned earlier, please rate, review, subscribe, help our podcast to grow. And if you want to be a part of the show, just like Bree, then tell us what strength means to you. Send an audio clip of what strength means to you that's 30 seconds or less, and we might feature you at the beginning of the show.
Until next week, I hope that you take some of Bree's tips and plan out at least a few days of your wardrobe and see what that does for you. Also, go check her out at Vostra Moda and get on her newsletter. And if you just feel like you can't adult today, at least put on some jeans or a more fitted shirt or something that will help you to up level. Bye.
All right. So then now if you could just say strength means or being strong means, and then fill in the blank.
Okay. Strength means finding the courage to be yourself. And that can mean being empowered. That can mean holding your ground. That can be showing up for yourself and becoming the best version of yourself that you can be now.
Oh, so good. So good. Oh my gosh, I'm really so glad that you joined us. Thank you. It was so nice to meet you.
It was so nice to meet you too.
Yes.
So
yeah, I will send you our email to send it to. You can just do you have Gmail, right?
Yes. Yep.
You just if you attach it, it'll just get attached as a drive link or whatever.
Perfect.
And then I think this is going to air. Or I can stop Skype now. I think this is going to air
you can stop
on.
your